All right, I'm back. As you can see, I'm in the chair, and this is part two of having sex with young women from the ages of 18 to 29 years of age. Now, this is the second part. This is the second installment. So let's get into it, shall we? Now, most men always ask, questions about dating younger women. One of the misconceptions in Hollywood is that a lot of men think that dating younger women is terrible. They think it's a bad idea. Look, you're gonna get what they call player haters. You're gonna get people that are jealous and insecure that when they see you dating women that's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, they'll say stupid, ignorant bullshit like, she's old enough to be your niece. She's old enough to be your cousin. How dare you? And sometimes you gotta have that attitude of I just don't give a F. Translation, I don't give a fuck. Why I'm saying it? Because a lot of them are jealous and insecure that they can't date a highly physical, sexually attractive woman that is young like that. So when they see you do the impossible, they're jealous of you. Now, how would I describe dating young women from the age of 18 to 29? It's like when you win a championship in professional basketball. You know how they say that there's a special elite class of people that win championships? Well, if you look at Michael Jordan, he's won 6 NBA championships. Larry Bird's won 3, Magic won 5, Kobe won 5, Shaq won 4, Tim Duncan won 5 championships, LeBron won 3. Wade has actually won 1 with Shaq. And then he won 2 with LeBron. So the Wade has 3 rings. And all the people that won championships all have something in common. They all have done something that is defined as the impossible. Then you look at guys who have always tried to win championships, and for reasons that people can never understand, they just can't win a championship. You look at Allen Iverson. He's gone to the NBA Finals once in his whole entire illustrious career. He's only gone to the finals only once. Paul Pierce has gone to the NBA Finals twice, but only won 1 championship. Then you look at somebody like Ray Allen that they, in sports and outside of sports, they kind of quote unquote call a traitor, but Ray Allen's not a traitor. He's doing what any man or any athlete in any sport would do, that if you want to keep winning championships, you're going to make the best decision for yourself, your career, and your family, right? So he's won about 2 or 3 championships in his basketball career. Jason Kidd gone to the NBA Finals 3 times and won his first NBA championship. So I'm giving you an idea of what it's like when you date younger women from the age of 18 to 29 years old. Then there's guys like Patrick Ewing, who went to the NBA Finals twice and lost twice. Karl Malone, one of the greatest professional basketball players of all times in the NBA, and he's gone to the NBA Finals 3 times and lost all 3 times and has never won a championship. So you have guys that have gone to the finals. There are people who won it once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5. Only one guy's won it 6. And then let's not forget there's the legendary great Bill Russell. He won 11 NBA championships. So the reason why I'm taking the sports analogy and putting it into the video is so you can get a better idea of what I mean by what does it feel like to date young, attractive women from the age of 18 to 29. Now, if that's not getting you interested, how about Tom Brady, one of the greatest professional football players of all times in the NFL, the National Football League? Did you know that in the very beginning, that when Tom Brady started dating women, that the first choice of woman was an older woman? He dated a woman. At the time, Tom Brady was like maybe 21, 22, 23, somewhere in there. And he was dating a former supermodel that was between the ages of 30 to 35 years old. Now, he, all in high school and all of college, Tom Brady was trying to date just beautiful, attractive women from the age of 18 to 29 years old. But unfortunately, he got rejected a lot. And when he became a professional football player and he went from making no money to making about $15,000 to $30,000, and then when he really started playing in his prime and became Psycho Tom Brady, and I don't mean in a bad way, I mean in a kick-ass cool way, Tom Brady was dating an older woman. Now, what you don't get is he was told by a lot of veteran football players, you need to date older women in your early 20s and early 30s because you don't have no experience with women. Tom Leykis told you this 10 times on YouTube, that you should be using older women and plus size women as practice. You're supposed to be asking them out to lunch and dinner because you don't have no experience as a man. More important, you don't have no experience in the dating game. So when you walk out your house 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, you're trying to do the impossible. You're trying to defy the logics of gravity, of Mother Nature. And Mother Nature simply will not allow you to do something that's against its design. So if Mother Nature say all in your 20s and some part of your early 30s, you just can't get women from the age of 18 to 29, it doesn't mean it's a death sentence, and it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. What it means is you need to go out and get some experience, and life will be better for you. Now, once Tom Brady got like 24, 25, around 26, and once Tom Brady won 3 Super Bowl championships in 4 years, you notice he started dating that famous Brazilian supermodel, right? The woman that he's married to currently, right? Right. And you see that he dated an older woman one time, and he never did it no more after that. You know why? Because once he won championships, he now had ownership to do whatever he wanted outside of professional football. Before, he couldn't get a beautiful, attractive woman to save his life. And Tom Brady be the first one to tell you that. Another famous athlete that had the same problem, Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest professional basketball players of all times. The man who scored 81 points and beat down the Toronto Raptors. The man who single-handedly scored more points than Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson ever did in their entire basketball career. The man who won 5 championships. The man who surpassed Shaq. The man who set the bar high in the NBA that if you want to be great, this is what you got to do to be great. The guy who scored 60 points in his retirement game. That Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba. At one point, Kobe Bryant himself dated an older woman. Oh yes, you may not believe me, but if you go back to when Kobe Bryant was 17, 18 years old in the NBA at a young age, his first choice was not a younger woman. His first choice was an older black woman. Do you know who he was dating? He was dating Serena Williams' big sister, Venus Williams. And you see, Kobe Bryant was told once again by veteran athletes, you need to date older women to get experience in the world of dating. You notice Kobe Bryant dated one time and one time only. After that, what did Kobe Bryant do? He dated a young Latino woman fresh out of high school. She was 17, and by the time I think she turned 18 or 19, Kobe Bryant married her at a young age. So you see what I'm talking about, right? So that's me giving you some more prime examples so you don't get lost or confused. Because a lot of times when I give out examples, they get lost and confused. Now let's talk about the science. Let's talk about the math on what goes into physically and sexually attracting young women from the ages of 18 to 29 years old. It'll come to no surprise that it has something to do with, there you go. Yeah, I've been working out. You can tell I've been hitting the gym. Masculine energy. Now, when you got masculine energy, you're going to be able to attract all types of attention. Now, how you attract attention to young women is up to you. Now that I explained that part to you, now let's get into it. When you have sex with younger women, what I mean by it's WrestleMania. If you watch professional wrestling, you may do, you may not. If you watch the NBA Finals, basketball, if you watch the World Series baseball, if you watch hockey, the Stanley World Cup, or if you watch football, the Super Bowl, when I say that, I'm talking about how great the sex is with a younger woman. Young women love to experience and experiment while having sex with older men. It don't matter if you're having sex in the car, in the truck. It doesn't matter if you're having sex in the elevator. It doesn't matter if you're having sex, as crazy and strange as this may sound to a lot of you, having sex in the cemetery. Yes, you heard me, having sex in the cemetery. Now, I know some people are going to say, come on, man, that's nasty, that's sick, have some respect for the dead. But I've seen older men that's in their 30s, like 35, 39, 40, 42, having sex with golf girls at a cemetery. Well, I ain't never seen them at a cemetery, but I have a friend who has a friend who knew an older guy that had sex with a golf girl at a cemetery. There are people that have sex on top of rooftops. There are people that have sex in the water pool. There are people that will even go as far as to have sex at their job. I know you've heard of that one a lot. And of course, there's having sex in the phone booth. You can have sex virtually anywhere. Having sex on the beach is usually the most common theme among an older man and a younger woman. Having sex at the beach at 12 midnight when you can get caught by the police. That's like the greatest rush, the greatest thrill to a young, attractive woman. That an older man is brave, he's fearless, he's not concerning himself with getting into trouble, and he's not acting like he has curfew. And that's what she finds physically and sexually attractive. Unfortunately, there's two types of young women. Now, some guys might say, well, I've talked to young women all the time and it just doesn't work for me. Well, is it because you're in your 20s? Because if you're in your 20s, that might be why it's not working. All in your 20s, from age 20 to age 29, you're not going to be able to get the attention of young, attractive women unless you have money, looks, and status. Now, why I'm saying it like that? Because I'm trying to tell you that there's two ways to get young, attractive women. The first one is you're going to have to unfortunately mess with some older women. I know a lot of you don't want to mess with older women that's in their early 30s, their late 30s, their 40s, their 50s, their 60s. And as terrifying as this is, women in their 70s. I know you don't like it. I don't really like it. But seeing is believing. The more older women you have sex with, the more older women you take out to lunch and dinner, the better your experience in the long run is going to be for the future. So if you're dating an older woman that's a cougar between the ages of 35 to 45 or 50, or even more older than that, like 60 to 65, by the time you get 45 or 50, you'll be able to date young, hot, attractive women from the ages of 18 to 29 years old. Doesn't matter if it's black women, white women, Latino women, Asian women. Don't matter if they're from Russia, Germany, Paris, France, London, England. Doesn't matter if they're from Scotland or Ireland. Doesn't matter where they're from. You will be able to date young, attractive women on every competitive level of every spectrum in 7 categories. Just like that at the drop of a hat. That's the first way to do it. The second way to do it is to display masculine energy. It's you ever notice that when you go to a job interview, you can always tell that the secretary is between the ages of 18 to 29 years old. Do you know why? Because when they go on Craigslist, they put an ad that they're looking for an intern, a temptress, or a secretary, and 9 times out of 10, 99.99% of the time, you get a woman from the age of 18 to 29, fresh out of high school or fresh out of college, that becomes a secretary. She's always this young, hot, attractive woman full of energy and full of life. And the guy that's giving you the job interview 99.999% of the time, The older man is going to be between the ages of 35 to possibly 60 to 65 years old. You're going to get an older man giving you a job interview. So the secretary might be between 18 to 29 years old setting up the job interview, but the man is between 35 to 65 years old that's giving you the job interview. Like when you go to places like T-Mobile, Metro PCS, AT&T, Verizon Wireless cell phone stores, you see young, attractive women. When you go to college football games or college basketball games, you see lots and lots of young, hot, attractive women from the age of 18 to 29 years old. If you go to rock concerts, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see young, hot, attractive women that are from the age of 18 to 29. Now, let's get to how you can tell if it's a younger woman or an older woman. Most, not all, most older women that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and even 70s are not going to walk up to a young man that's in his 20s and 30s, and they're not going to ask him for no advice. Because to them, you still look like a child to them. It's most likely that if you're between the ages of 35 to 65 and sometimes 70 years old as a man, doesn't matter if you're a black man, a white man, an Asian man, or a Latino man, if the girl walks up to you and asks you 21 questions, it's a strong possibility she's between the ages of 18 to 29 years of age. She's going to ask a lot of questions. How do you become a police officer? How do you go into business for yourself? How do you make money for yourself? How do you get your driver's license? Or how do you save money up to buy a car that's $15,000 to $20,000? You're going to get young women asking all kinds of questions. And they're going to look up to you like a father figure. You ever notice in the comic books of Marvel Comics and DC Comics that a lot of your favorite superheroes are in their late 30s, early 40s? Like you look at Bruce Wayne, Batman, and all the Batman films that you've seen, have you ever seen a young Batman? Hell no, right? You always see Batman between the ages of 35 to 45 years old, right? You look at Ben Affleck's version of Batman. His Batman is between the ages of 35 to 45 years old. So naturally, when you see Batman, he's always in his late 30s, early 40s, right? Do you ever see any young, beautiful, attractive women ever go to Dick Grayson, aka Robin, for any advice? No. It's not until Dick Grayson walks out at the Batcave, leaves Batman alone, and becomes Nightwing. Hold on. Okay, I wanted to make sure it's still recording. You make sure that it's not until Dick Grayson becomes almost 30 years old that women finally come to him for advice. Superman. You notice that the actor Henry Cavill, Superman, was like 32 years old in Man of Steel, right? Do you ever see a young Superman or do you see an older Superman? Superheroes like Batman and Superman are going to be much older than their traditional comic book counterpart. Same thing with Captain America. Okay, he has the appearance of a younger man, but if you read the comic books, Captain America is between the ages of 60 to 65 years old if you look in the comic books. Same thing with the Winter Soldier. He's between the ages of 60 to 65 years old because they were injected with the super soldier serum. More Captain America than Winter Soldier. But my point is that if you look in the comic books, all the superheroes are always going to be in their mid-30s to early 40s. You look at Nick Fury, he's in his 50s. And when you watch the first Avenger film, you see a 24-year-old woman getting advice from a black man that's 50 years old. So what does that tell you? If you look at all your comic books of Marvel Comics and DC Comics, about 85 to 90% of the superheroes are between the ages of 35 to 50 plus years old. Now, Spider-Man, if you're going by the high school version of Spider-Man, he's like 15, 16 years old. Is anybody getting any advice from Spider-Man or Peter Parker? Hell no. When you see Blade, when you see Wesley Snipes' portrayal in the 3 Blade films, you notice in all those Blade films, he's the older vampire, right? Okay, if you watch Blade 1, the black girl is getting advice from Blade and Whistler. If you watch Blade 2, the girl is getting her advice from Blade. If you watch Blade 3, the girl is getting her advice from Blade. So when it comes to characters like Blade, Frank Castle the Punisher, Johnny Blaze the Ghost Rider, when it comes to Reed Richards Mr. Fantastic, all these superheroes are between the ages of 35 to 50 plus years old. Even if you say, what about the supervillains? All the supervillains are between the ages of 35 to 50 years old. Doctor Doom, he's like in his late 30s, early 40s when he's trying to kill the Fantastic Four. If you look at Stephen Strange from Doctor Strange the movie, that guy was not in his 20s. The last time I checked in the comic books, he's like 34, 35. And then when we get into the future, he's like almost 55 years old, Doctor Strange. So you got to think about that. Even when you watch Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. in it, who is Pepper Potts getting all of her advice from? Tony Stark, Iron Man, right? So if you see all these superhero movies by Marvel Comics and DC Comics, that is the science and the math. You never see a young, beautiful, attractive woman from the age of 18 to 29 years old trying to get advice from men that's in their 20s and 30s. Now, I know some guys are going to say, well, I'm 30, I'm 31. What about me? Well, guess what? I'm 31 years old. And I don't see too many young, attractive women walk up to me and give me advice. The only time I get that is if she has no choice but to come directly to me. We call that the rule to the exception. You're lucky. You're lucky that you can get a woman that's 20, 25, and you're 31 years old, and she comes to you for advice. But if there's a man that's 35, 40, 45 years old, or even 50, 99.99% of the time, she is going to go to them first and you last. It's when they're not around, she comes to you because she has no other choice. So that's what that is. So I don't want no guys that are 30, 31, 32 saying, well, I get women coming to me for advice. Yeah, because the guys that are 35 and 40 and 45 are not there to give her advice. That's why she came to you. So that clears that up. Now let's get to the fun parts, shall we? Now, when you approach younger women, you don't have to feel like you're being pressured. You know, you can crack jokes. Now be careful when you crack jokes because too many jokes can be considered in today's society sexual harassment. So you can crack maybe 2, maybe even 4 jokes and she'll laugh. It doesn't matter if you're terrible at making jokes. Doesn't matter if you're good at making jokes. A woman will laugh her ass off from the age of 18 to 29 years old if you're real funny. If you do something funny and silly, like you accidentally fall down when you know you didn't fall down, she'll laugh at it. It's when you try jokes that are highly offensive to everyone that it's not funny, that it's not a laughing matter. Now, let's talk about how to get the younger girl away from her friends. Well, that's easy. All you gotta do is display masculine energy. 9 times out of 10, when you display masculine energy, she'll tell all her girlfriends, I'll see you later. You ain't got to tell her to do nothing. She'll do it by herself. Now, let's get one thing straight. There's not one type of young, attractive women. There's actually 2 different groups of young, beautiful, attractive women from the age of 18 to 29 years old. I call them, the first one is Group A. I call the second one Group B. Stay away from Group B. And I'm going to tell you why you should stay away from Group B. A lot of men say, well, I get young, attractive women that play mind games. Okay, first of all, did you ask yourself, does this girl have a father? Because if her father's not in her life, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to matter if you're a younger guy or an older guy. If her father is not in her life, you're going to have a hard time trying to attract the attention of a young woman that's from the age of 18 to 29 years old. You're going to have a hard time. If her father is not in her life at all, you're going to have a hard time. You want column A. You are looking for a young, beautiful, attractive woman who has both her parents, her mother and her father. They gotta have both parents. If you say, "How's dad?" and she tell you, "Dad's great, dad's fantastic, dad doesn't care if I date a guy his age." If you can get that reaction, you're in the right spot. If you get, "Oh, my dad was a deadbeat, my dad ran out on me when I was 10," you don't want that. Timeout. Call the coach. Call Coach Belichick and say, "Hey, I need Tom Brady. We're losing the football game." Stay away from column B. Go to column A. I just want to clear that up because a lot of men complain, "Well, I'm dating a young woman from the age of 18 to 29 and it still ain't working." Well, you got to ask yourself a question. Is her father in her life? Because if there's a father in her life, you're okay. If there ain't no father, you going to have a lot of problems on your hands. Now that I clear that up, now let's explain why I say go with column A. If you go with column A, this will give you an idea on what to do and what not to do in the relationship. This will give you not so much the power and the control. This will give you a balance. You'll be able to work, make money, and come home and make love to a young, attractive woman. If it's column B, then that's a problem because now it becomes a pump and a dump. And by the time you get 35, 40, 45 years old, you're not really trying to pump and dump young, attractive women. You're trying to lock one down so you can have a relationship. Now, here's the good thing about young, attractive women from the age of 18 to 29. They're not going to try to lock you down in a relationship if you don't want to be in a relationship. Most young, attractive women that are in column B, they just want to have sex. So if you just want to have sex, then column B is for you. But if you're trying to just have sex and you're in column A, then you may not want to be in column A. Now, there are exceptions to the rule. Now, there are times where you do go to column A and all the girl just want to do is have sex. There are special cases of it. Even if it's a fat girl that's 200 pounds, 220, 230 pounds, you notice that the only time an older man that's between the ages of 35 to 50 will even have sex with a fat woman, whether she's black, white, or Latino, is she has to be between the ages of 18 to 25. So if it's a fat woman, she has to be between 18 to 25. 26 or 27 is kind of like the cutoff if she's fat but still young and attractive. If she's a black woman, they're not going to complain. They're going to go ahead and date the black woman. The only time you see black men date black women when they quote unquote say they hate black women is if she's a young, hot, attractive black woman from the age of 18 to 29. So it ain't so much you hate black women. What it is you hate black women from your own generation. And that the next generation of black women might be better. And I say may be better. So take that with a grain of salt. If it's a white woman that's from the age of 18 to 29, they're always down to have fun no matter what. You can take them everywhere. You can take them to Six Flags, Magic Mountain, Universal City, Disney. You can take them to Orlando Disney Adventures. You can take them to the beach. You can take them to Las Vegas. You can take them rock climbing. You can take them parachuting, scuba diving, jumping out of an airplane. Hell, you can even teach them how to surf. You can teach them how to drive a motorcycle. It's dangerous. You can get somebody killed, but you can teach them how to drive a motorcycle. So they're going to have by far the most fun. And when you want to take a camera out and film your Avengers, they don't care if they're on camera. They're just having a good time. You can take them to a rock concert. You can take them to the bar and line them up 2 or 3 shots of alcohol, which you might want to be careful with that. Even if it's a quote-unquote slut, you still have the best of the both worlds. Because with a young, hot, attractive woman, even if she has a reputation for just having sex, you're still going to have one hell of a blast. It's still WrestleMania. It is still the NBA Finals. It is still the Super Bowl. It is still the World Soccer World Cup. It is still the Stanley Cup. It is still the World Series. Okay? That's what it's like to mess with young, hot, attractive women. See, young, attractive women will say, "I like your energy." And when she says, "I love your energy," that means she's saying, I like your masculine energy. And you see, a young, attractive woman just likes to have fun. A lot of times, if you take her someplace and it's a surprise, she'll be blown the hell away. Now, if you want to have sex with